This couple broke up on a plane and a passenger live tweeted the whole thing. When you're on a plane, you want to mind your business. Just stay in your seat, eat, and sleep. Or watch a couple of movies until you reach your destination. But this wasn't an ordinary flight. A woman spotted a girl nearby crying. So what happened? Well, it turns out that the guy broke up with the girl and she couldn't handle it. This was going to be a long flight for everyone. They all knew it was going to be filled with raised voices and even more tears. A breakup is one of the most unforgettable things that can happen in your life. Sometimes it's a good thing. Other times it makes you feel terrible for weeks or months on end. What the passenger is witnessing is worse, a public breakup. It's already shocking that the guy broke up with his girlfriend in such a public manner. But that wasn't the end of it. Far from it. The man went on to say that he would change seats if he could. That's how much he didn't want to be with the girl, who was now crying even more. So who is our Twitter hero? Her name is Kelly Keegs. She didn't know her flight was going to feature a public breakup, but she wasn't going to ignore this. There was nothing else to do, and the couple was already getting all the attention. Why not post about it on Twitter, right? The couple was just irritating at first. People knew they were upset at each other and weren't so mindful of others. But things changed when the girl screamed. Now the passengers wanted to know more about the breakup. It's not a good idea to let your emotions get the best of you, but that was what's happening here. The guy who just broke up with his girlfriend wasn't going to stop even though she was already in tears. He was now asking her one question after another. In particular, he wondered why she was shocked over the breakup. The guy said that she should have expected this. He had always wanted to get out of the relationship. Talk about paying more to get less. It seems like the girl actually ended up paying extra just to be sat next to this man, who was now going to insult and break up with her publicly. That must be some weird story that led to this flight. Just look at the way she said it. You can actually hear the despair in her voice. Such bad luck, paying for a ticket to the worst flight of your life. As things were getting even tenser between the couple, the rest of the plane soon got involved as well, as passengers were getting more and more annoyed with this awkward situation. When you're in a relationship or in love with someone, you often try and show some extreme emotions just to get a reaction or some empathy from the other side. It seems like this strategy failed miserably with this guy. He turned to her and just said that he doesn't care. What can you reply to that? How are you supposed to make sense with someone who actually doesn't care about you? Kelly Keegs noticed that the man no longer wanted to discuss things any further. He claimed, "I don't care." This was a terrible response, especially if you're the girl he just broke up with. The woman replied, "I'm glad you don't care." But we all know she wasn't happy about it. The woman didn't know how to respond to everything that was happening. After all, the person she valued the most was now letting go of her so easily. The passengers felt bad for her. Was the public breakup over? Nope. After a few more minutes, the woman realized that it was her time to talk. The guy was all silent, but she wasn't letting him go off the hook. Not after he embarrassed her to everyone on the plane. She was telling him everything she's always wanted him to know. This was her chance for redemption. Now the passengers could feel the mood shift. Her voice proved that she had reached a tipping point. No one wanted to mess with her. If the guy wanted to change his seat, he should have done it earlier. It was too late now. His ex was throwing questions with no seeming end. With each lamentation, her voice became louder. She asked why this had to happen. Was his treatment of her justified? You would think that she was just being all emotional, but the passengers were intrigued. The woman does seem to be clueless about the whole breakup situation. She even pointed out that he was citing things that shouldn't be brought up anyway. Was this the truth, or was she hiding something? Keegs and the other passengers were left with so many questions. One thing's for sure, the woman knew that something wasn't right with herself. This saddened everyone, especially when she said that she no longer wanted to be this girl she'd become. What happened to her? It was one thing to dislike someone who just broke up with you in a public area, but for someone to hate herself? This was downright terrible. It seemed like nothing was working out the way she wanted. Things took another turn. This time the girl wanted him back. She had calmed down now. Was she in the bargaining stage of grief? She just said about not wanting to be this girl moments ago. Now she wants to stay and change herself for him? It's admirable that she was open to change, but is it a good idea to do this with the same person who's hurting her? What if he's the reason she can't become a better person? The passengers knew this was a bad idea. With everything the girl has been saying, you'd expect the man to say something, anything, but he was silent. The woman didn't stop asking him questions, but he wasn't responding either. He was content with listening to his ex getting angry at him. Keeg and the passengers were supportive of the woman at this point. Her ex was cold and rude, but she wasn't done, and nobody was prepared for her next revelation. She wasn't enraged when she spoke about being just like the others. This got everyone on the plane to drop their jaws to the floor. Did they just hear her imply that the guy was a player? Was all this a routine for him? If so, this wasn't going to help him gain any support. Nobody wants a guy who keeps on hurting women. He should not get away with this act. The passengers expected him to respond after her remark, but there was nothing. He didn't reject her statement and kept silent. If it wasn't true that she was just like the others, he could have said so. No one was stopping him. Yet he was okay with it, which made everyone think that she was right all along. If he was a good guy and didn't treat women in such a bad manner, he would have defended himself, but it seems like he's used to what was happening. This was terrible. The woman was losing it. Her man just broke up with her and shamed her in front of everyone a while ago, but he won't even reply to anything she's saying now. It was like talking to a wall. She had already raised her voice and cried bucket of tears. What does she have to do? The guy was inconsiderate. He didn't care that she was mad at him, and he didn't even want to know why she was feeling this way. He wanted nothing to do with this. As for the girl, she continued expressing her thoughts. This time, she says that he despised some of her characteristics. What was she doing at this point? Keegs thinks the girl just wanted her ex to speak. She wanted to know whether he still cared for her or not. If he did, he would say something, but her efforts weren't amounting to anything but awkward silence. Even if the guy felt guilty, it wasn't enough to make him talk. He started this whole debacle on the plane, but now he wants to end it. His ex wasn't stopping anytime soon, however. Well, the girl got what she wanted, a response, but the problem is that it wasn't the ideal reply. Far from it. Instead of expressing a genuine concern, he just told her, "You need to calm down." There were no apologies or reassuring hugs whatsoever. He just wanted her to shut up. If he wanted her to keep quiet, this was the worst possible way to do it. His image was once again tainted in front of the other passengers. All the girl wanted was some clarification. At times, silence is comfortable. There's peace. But this wasn't a case of solitude, but of loneliness. She was sitting right next to someone she loves, but he's emotionally distant. She wanted to fix things while he wanted to end the relationship. There was a stark contrast between their goals. She pointed this out to him, but he didn't say anything. He offered nothing to this girl who was seeking the truth. If he wasn't going to talk, she was going to use the time to put him down. The passengers didn't know what was going to happen. All of a sudden, she asked, "What was so special about you anyway?" This was a rhetorical question. It was an insult thrown at her ex. Surprisingly enough, Keegs noticed that the guy tried to speak up. Was his ego hurt? Was this the key to making him talk? But this didn't matter. She told him to shut up until she was done talking. He wasn't such a good guy, and she wanted him to remember this. At this point, we know that there was a couple who just broke up during the flight. There's also Kelly Keegs, the woman who was live tweeting the entire thing. But there was another character, Charlotte. We don't know who this is, but the girl said that she would approach Charlotte to determine the truth. Was Charlotte a family member or a close friend? Still, this reveals two things. First, the girl was aware that her ex was doing something fishy. Second, she knew that this woman named Charlotte could help clarify things. What do you think happened after all that's been said and done? The passengers surely didn't expect to see the couple kiss, but that's exactly what happened. What was going on? First they were screaming at each other. Now it's as if nothing terrible happened. One thing's for sure. They weren't doing the right thing. A good couple shouldn't hide things under the rug forever. Unless they talk about the issue, it will bring itself up now and then. Their surprise kiss won't solve anything. It's a band-aid solution to the pain they're feeling now. If you were a passenger on this particular flight, how would you feel? Do you prefer witnessing two people fight or kiss out of nowhere? This sudden change in mood made others irritated. What was even going on anymore? This didn't make sense. According to Keegs, someone on the plane was wondering how they would go home. Would the guy and the girl take different taxis or stay in the same ride? The guy already claimed how much he didn't want her. Is the girl willing to forget all that for a kiss or two? Since Kelly Keegs live tweeted the incident, the internet had its many takes. Thousands of people wanted to know more and had their suggestions and questions. Most people felt bad for the girl at first, but now it was just odd. What's up with the public display of affection right after the public freakout? Keegs hasn't received as many notifications as now. She managed to get the attention of people around the world just by tweeting the breakup event. Not everyone was okay with what was happening. Many people enjoyed the tweets coming in one after the other. It was free entertainment on social media. They were having laughs and had questions for the couple. But others criticized what Keegs was doing. Was Keegs doing the right thing by live tweeting this breakup? People value privacy, but that didn't seem to matter in this case. It's a personal matter, yet there were now strangers expressing their opinions as if it was a national issue. It's worth considering what each side argued. On one hand, Kelly Keegs didn't break any law. After all, the breakup was happening in a public setting. She didn't breach their privacy. It was the guy and the girl who raised their voices and let the drama unfold. Keeg just told the internet about it. If the couple didn't care how the passengers would feel, perhaps the same goes for the Twitter world. Even if things were chaotic and so emotional, they should have known that people were going to talk about them. Maybe others were being too sensitive about this lighthearted content. Then again, what if this was a legitimate case of privacy being breached? For some, it didn't matter if people were having fun or not. Even if it happened in a public setting, this didn't mean the couple was asking for their fight to be broadcast to the entire world. The guy and the girl were probably okay with their arguments being heard by the other passengers, but they likely didn't expect the online community to participate in the discussion as well. What if something happened to the couple after the Twitter thread went viral? Would Keegs own up to the consequences? Another issue was that these were ordinary people. Sure, the couple was annoying, but they weren't celebrities. They shouldn't expect someone to document their behavior without them knowing. If they were Hollywood elites, this wouldn't be so controversial. But they were average individuals. The discussion on privacy went on. No one was willing to admit that they were wrong, but this was a good thing. It proved that people weren't going to blindly let a post get viral without examining its effects and content. In the information age, we should see this as the norm. But let's go back to the couple on the plane. Nearly an hour after the guy broke up with the girl, the two decided to have some alcohol. Was this a good idea? Nope. They were already so emotional. Drinking could make things worse for both of them rather than calm them down. To be fair, the couple was already doing all sorts of wrong things. The guy wasn't talking to his ex while the girl was spouting whatever she could to get him to talk, and then they kissed. In their twisted logic, getting drunk made sense. It was already terrible that the couple was still unruly during the flight after all this time. But now the guy is drunk, so much so that he got himself wet with alcohol. The right thing to do was to kindly ask for help from the flight attendants, but this guy was far from decent. He just let them clean up his mess. The attendants got nothing from him. The man wasn't grateful that other people had to clean the alcohol that he spilled. He was feeling entitled, and the passengers disapproved of this. As for his ex, she was covering her face and crying. It's like the kiss didn't happen and she was back to being miserable. While people debated whether it was okay for Keegs to tweet about the couple, some were skeptical about it happening in the first place. Those who were big fans of the classroom sitcom Seinfeld think that it was too similar to what happened in one of the episodes. This specific episode also involved a breakup during a flight. There was a kiss after that and the couple broke up again, just like what was happening in Keegs' flight. Was this all a coincidence, or was reality proving that it is just as strange as fiction? With everything that happened, there was still something bothering not only Keegs and the passengers, but everyone on Twitter. Why did the guy have to break up with his girlfriend there? Couldn't he have just waited for the plane to land and tell her once they arrived back home or to a hotel room? If the guy waited just a bit longer, there would be no public freakout. Keegs would have no material to live tweet during the flight. Did the guy not consider this, or was there something that caused him to end the relationship in an abrupt manner? We'll never know. What can we learn from this breakup and how it was broadcasted on Twitter? For one, it's that we are living in an increasingly connected society. As more people gain access to the internet with a variety of devices, issues of privacy and security will come up. Once it's on the internet, it will stay there forever. Likewise, this should help us reflect on being responsible internet users. Is someone being funny or annoying enough to justify posting pics and video of them online? Technology can improve our lives in many ways, but it can also ruin someone's life with a simple click.